All right, so this is Nicole again, the creator of From Your Belly to Breast, with another interrogation. I'm so excited for this one. And I actually feel kind of honored. She thinks that's funny, but I really feel so honored that she's even on the line with me right now. And this is Laura Husson, all the way from UK. She's all the way across the pond. And she's going to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about what she has going on right now before we get into her interrogation. Laura?
Hi, Nicole. Thanks so much for inviting me to come and talk to you. I love coming and talking about all these kind of things, and opportunity to talk about the baby days especially is really exciting.
So, Laura, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and what you have going on right now. I know you're in the middle of launching a course.
Sure. Yeah, I am a full-time entrepreneur. I work from home, and I made that choice a long time ago when my daughter was actually 6 weeks old. I decided that I didn't want to go back to being a teacher. I was a primary school teacher, and I wanted to be there at home for her and to be able to pick her up from school and all that kind of thing. And yeah, I've kind of had a very organic journey in my business. My husband is full-time in my business with me, and we have a little team that we're building. We build WordPress websites, and as you said, right now I'm really excited because I'm full-fledged in the middle of the first ever release of my premier journey into launching a digital online course, which is called Fame in 140. And it's all about helping business owners establish themselves in an amazing way on Twitter.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Okay, so take us back, because your daughter now, she's 5. So take us back 5 years ago, and can you kind of describe your situation then? Because you described yourself as the right hippie mom. So kind of give us a little window into, what that entails and what that looked like.
Yeah, sure. I love that kind of tag because I know that I probably have my own stereotypical views about parenting and the choices that parents make before I had a baby. And then once I had a baby, everything kind of spun on its head because as I class myself this kind of with this hippie tag because I was like a modern day hippie because I was co-sleeping, I was breastfeeding, we were cloth nappying and baby wearing, and I think all of the things that come under the, I guess, the attachment parenting umbrella. And I did a lot of reading in my pregnancy. I was quite unwell for quite a long time, so I did a lot of reading and a lot of research, and it was really important to me to have as much of a hands-off experience in the delivery of my baby as possible because I just trusted my body to do what it was going to do pretty much from the start. Despite the fact that I was laid up on crutches with pelvic pain very much the whole way through my pregnancy, when it came to delivering my baby and what happened from there on, I was really happy to just kind of follow the course that it took.
Now, Laura, I know you told me that you had an unmedicated birth, and I'm kind of like actually like a couple questions right here. Did you deliver in a hospital, birth center, home?
Yeah, that oh gosh, that's funny thinking back to that. I planned to have a home birth, and I wanted to have I wanted a pool, a water birth, in not necessarily to deliver in water, but I definitely wanted water to be part of my labour, and if my delivery, if possible. So we bought our own pool, and we had everything set up at home. But my little girl was 2 weeks overdue. So I was really battling the medical system here. I don't know. I'm sure it's completely different to how things are there.
It's worse.
Yeah. But I had to really fight not to allow them to induce me at a week overdue and then 10 days overdue. They changed all their procedures to allow overdue mums to go to 2 weeks overdue, which was really good for me. And I went into natural labor on the 14th day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I woke up and I kind of had these pains that were coming and going. I was like, oh my goodness, I got these really bad, I thought it was like trapped wind or something. I was like, it just keeps coming and going. I don't know why. And it just didn't dawn on me it was labor. And yeah, we went into the hospital because we were booked in for an induction that day. And much as I didn't want to go in and do that, I felt like I'm going to go in there, I'm going to show them I'm in labor. And it didn't occur to me from that point on that I could have actually come home and labored and delivered at home. But so I delivered in the hospital. Yeah, had a very, very positive experience though.
No, that's good. Just really a side note, because I talk a lot about about birth and how it relates to breastfeeding, and how, as much as possible, you do want to try to have like an unmedicated birth, because it does affect, your breastfeeding, especially if you do things like, cesareans and you go into a lot of medications and painkillers. It really can affect your breastfeeding. So I'm happy that you were able to, it wasn't at home, but you were still able to have it unmedicated and kind of show
Yeah.
them. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what the medical teams look like, on your side of the globe, but over here it's primarily physicians. We really don't have too many midwives and things like that in the hospital.
Yeah.
So, they're working on changing it, because I think there are a lot of new, right hippie moms
Yeah.
popping up. We want to be more in control, and I'm glad that we're taking a look at the food that we're putting in our bodies, but also we're now looking at our births and wanting them to be as natural and as hands off as possible.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm
so
happy
cool.
that you
Yeah,
got
that's so
that.
cool.
Okay, so baby, you had the baby unmedicated birth. Were
Yeah.
you able to latch on right away? What?
Yeah, and I don't mind admitting that I was really undecided. While I had all these other intentions, I really didn't know. I wasn't passionately feeling that I definitely wanted to breastfeed my baby, but I was pretty sure I wanted to try and see if it worked out.
Mhm.
I had some friends who had quite traumatic experiences with latching and getting things going and tongue tie and all other kinds of things. And so I kind of had
Mhm.
this big negative cloud hanging over me that I was almost prepared for immediate failure. And so
Mhm.
when my little girl arrived, I think I'd been convinced she was a boy, firstly, so I think I was in complete spin of shock that she was a girl. And yeah, they kind of, as I delivered her, they said, "Do you want to reach down and take your baby?" And I just literally pulled her down. I reached down, pulled her up towards me, and I just immediately kind of, I didn't even think about it. It was just kind of, she was just
Wow.
in that position, and it really did feel like something that just happened. It didn't feel like any thought went into it. There was no kind of decision or thinking or questions or am I doing it right, wrong, or anything else. It just kind of clicked. And I'm always really worried about telling that story because I know that, I don't want people to think that if that doesn't happen for them, then they failed in some way. But I
Right.
also think it's important for people to know that it can happen like that, because I didn't know that it could happen like that. And that was a big pivotal moment for me. I went from being on the fence, and open-minded to, oh my goodness, we're doing this. And it was an amazing feeling. I couldn't believe it. I just kept, oh my goodness, she's doing it. She's doing it.
No, I'm so glad you actually shared that story, because the reason why we're doing this is so women can see like all the different stories and kind of have an realize that it's so diverse. Yes, breastfeeding is natural. It's there's a little bit of an art to it,
Mm,
but so many women have so many different stories as it regards to breastfeeding. So your
yeah.
breastfeeding experience may not look like mine, but that doesn't mean that yours wasn't successful. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you shared that part of your story. I didn't know that. Okay. So, you had like you didn't take like any breastfeeding classes. You didn't know anything about how to hold the the latch,
No,
how to tell if the latch is right or wrong or any of that stuff.
No, I really, really didn't. I mean, I did. We have an organization here called the NCT, which is the National Childbirth Trust, and they're like private antenatal classes that you can go to. And I think there's 4 or 5 sessions in the run up to your delivery, but it's really all about having your baby. And then at the very end, they show you how to put on a nappy. So it was all about pretty much trying to talk anybody out of having any kind of medicalized birth or any kind of unnecessary intervention. It was all gearing you up for that.
Mhm.
So it didn't really cover breastfeeding in any kind of details. All sort of came afterwards.
Okay.
And that's, I think, why I was kind of on the fence about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I've come to realize is that many women who face difficulties with breastfeeding, it's they kind of have difficulties and they give up around their 4 week, 6 week period. And I think this is due to the fact that when babies are born, like a month later, their volume, their size, their stomach, everything is expanding at a large rate. Like they're really going to double their weight about a month
Mm.
out, month and a half out. And so if you're not able to keep up, they kind of almost like fall back. That the supply and demand is not there, and they give up because it's become difficult for them around that point in time. Did
Mm.
you face anything similar to that around 6 weeks, a month and a half?
Oh my goodness, yes. Like the hardest point in my whole, I really felt kind of like I had to lock myself away and not be a kind of, I was worried about being a smug newborn mum, because
Okay.
you know, we had breastfeeding all in hand. Everything felt so easy. We were co-sleeping. She was sleeping all night. Everything just felt blissful, completely blissful. And then I think it was somewhere around the 4 weeks mark, that all of a sudden the feeding was really, really painful, and it was so frustrating. I was crying, I was upset, I was angry, I was so many things, and I just felt like I didn't understand it, because I was like, you know, we've got this now. You know, surely we don't go backwards on it. You don't go backwards in this journey. And I just didn't understand what was going on. I was really fortunate, and our whole kind of, as I refer to my breastfeeding career, was influenced because just literally a mile down the road from me at the time, there was a breastfeeding support clinic that had a breastfeeding counsellor there, and some, I think they were called peer supporters, so mums who were volunteering their time, had a lot of training into latching and other bits and pieces, to come, and you know, you go there, you feed, they watch the latch, they adjust things and all the rest of it. This amazing lady, I will never ever forget her, who just slightly adjusted my arm position and the way that my daughter's chin was pointed as I pulled her towards me. And I just, oh, tears of relief, because it was like, oh my goodness, thank goodness, thank goodness, thank goodness. And that was a really scary time, because I really thought, you know,
Wow.
oh, we've slipped.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow, oh wow, oh, wow, wow. Okay. That's okay. That's wow. I'm right now. I'm having a moment because I'm remembering like the first time I helped a mom with breastfeeding,
Oh,
and you know I was still working as a patient technician. I'm a nurse now, but I was still working as like a tech on the floor, and I probably shouldn't have even given her breastfeeding advice, but I was shadowing the lactation consultant during the day and taking nursing classes. And when mom was having a hard time, I went into her room, and we had one of those moments where you just like it just clicked, and we both were in
yeah.
there crying, and so I'm reminiscing now. So
Yeah, it was so powerful, and that really made me feel like I wanted to help other women in that way. And
right.
I really think that is the moment that actually kick-started my entrepreneurial journey. And
Mm,
because my whole thing started off like that, I was involved in baby things, and that, I'm sure it was because of that moment, and that's really transformed everything in my life from that moment, not just the breastfeeding, but so many things. And I think it just gave me that confidence that, you know, with the right support, really anything is possible.
amen. Amen. Okay, so I'm a bit of a feminist, so yes. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so your support system, you briefly touched, you know, you had some professionals that you worked with and guided you
Yeah,
and helped you a little bit. At home, can you give us a little window into what your support system consisted of and
sure.
hmm
Yeah, that was quite difficult because my husband he went back to work. He worked away from home, and he went to back to work on, I think my daughter was born on the Tuesday, and he went back to work on the Monday. So he was away quite quickly. She was less than a week old when he left from the Monday to the Friday, which I was terrified about. And because we were kind of very attachment based, I was finding it hard just to get in the shower, or you know, I was kind of in that whole post delivery stage and stitches, and oh my goodness, I remember the thing I should have mentioned, I guess, is I remember when my milk came in, and the feeling, I really thought there was something wrong with me, like the fever, I had my whole body was convulsing, was shaking, and oh, I felt terrible, and I was really feeling vulnerable at that point. And again, it was kind of, oh my goodness, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? And there was just something in me that just thought, you know what, it's just you know, me and her, we've got this bond going. We were completely in a little love bubble, as I called it at the time, and we can do it. And I think from that moment, because we had to, just me and her, it became very me and her. My mother-in-law, who was close at hand, was a retired midwife,
Oh
from a very
wow.
different era, who was very supportive of breastfeeding and all the other things we were doing, but also had her own mentality about, you know, my baby should be left to cry, to sleep, because otherwise she'd never settle herself. And there was a
Oh,
lot of, I felt like I constantly had to battle to just do what I was doing, and that was exhausting.
oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's strange that you said that because I didn't know midwives ever felt that way about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So Okay. So if you could tell a new mom one thing, give her like one piece of advice, the one thing that I think that you feel saved you during your
Mm.
breastfeeding, what would that one piece of advice be?
Oh my goodness. Really, to get help, find out where help is available. And even if things are going well from the beginning, find out what local support is available for you. It might be, again, it's probably different here to it is there in the States, but like here, there are things like breastfeeding cafes, there are breastfeeding mums groups that meet up for coffee mornings and things. And the whole feeding in public thing was a big hang up for me as well, and that really helped to kind of get past that. So I'd say, get a group of mums going that you can hang around with, you can feel safe with, you can ask questions. We're all going through the same thing, and to just use that. And then if you do come into that kind of phase that, even now that you saying now that 4-6 week thing is normal is the first time I've ever heard that. And I think not being told what is normal is probably the most important and valuable thing ever.
Wow, Laura, thank you for just reconfirming so many things that, the other interrogations, quote unquote, said as well on their calls. And so I think you just really brought it full circle with that last bit of information. And that's, get help. Don't, and once that's one of the things that consistently stress, like this course is awesome, but outside of this course, you really need to have like a local support system so you know where to go, if
Yeah,
and when things go awry, because they kind of tend to. This is brand new, and you're new to it, so definitely have that support system
yeah,
in
for
place so
sure.
you can ask questions.
Absolutely.
Well, Laura Husson, of creator of Fame in 140, thank you so much for your interrogation. I know this information is going to help so many women, and there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be able to relate to you, who are going to want to co-sleep, who are going to want to wear their babies and lower their medical interventions during labor. So again, thank you so much, Laura.
Oh, thank you for having me. I've really, really enjoyed our little chat.
All right, bye.
Bye.